Hey there, comic compadres. This is Mark with Chico's Comics. It is 2024, and I just bought my first comic book collection of the year. Well, compadres, I just wanted to take a moment to show off like my favorite dozen or so books out of this collection that I couldn't start anywhere else than with Chilling Tales number 15 and this excellent matte box cover. It is low grade, a lot of wear on the spine, but this book is complete and the cover art presents beautifully for the condition. Horror from the Tomb. Who do we have this here? An Agostino cover. I don't know how familiar I am with him. The Tormented, number 1. Only 33 on the census with this book, and this is a Mike Roy cover. Okay, Tales from the Crypt, number 35. Jack Davis cover. And one of my favorite finds in this was some L.B. Cole. Blue Bolt Weird Tales number 116. Absolutely fantastic cover art. There was one Frank Frazetta book in here. That was Weird Fantasy number 21. I really love how the female astronaut here gives me pretty hardcore Sigourney Weaver vibes from Alien. I wonder if they drew inspiration from that when they were making the movie. A nice Feldstein cover here. We have Shock Suspense Stories number 6. And Crime Suspense Stories number 23. I believe this cover is George Evans, but if I have that wrong, please correct me in the comments. Also, one of my favorite covers here, Fantastic Fears number 3. The red covers from the EC, or not EC, but from the 50s comics just really pop great, especially with a couple of skulls on them. Just really beautiful. And yeah, pretty graphic cover here. We have The Thing number 7. This guy getting his eyes ripped out. You know, pretty iconic cover here from whatever this bird creature is. And then last but not least, an iconic Lee Elias cover, Chamber of Chills 23, featuring The Kiss of Death. This was the book when I saw in the photos, I knew I had to close on this collection here. 104 books, give or take, Blue Label CGC Census. This book is complete. It is attached at the staples and the centerfold. No missing pieces. This is a book that is definitely staying in the personal collection here. I do plan on getting this graded, but I'll probably clean and press this one myself before I submit it. And I did actually read this one after I bought it, and just going through that story is just it's pretty awesome. The series of stories. Okay, comic compadres. So I wanted to just give you a little backstory on how I came across this collection here. So about once a week or twice a week, I like to jump onto estatesales.net, and you can put in a search, and I like to just search comics or comic books and see what estate sales pop up. Most of them tend to be online sales, which is nice. A lot of them are based off of HiBid, CT Bids, and a couple other auction houses, but I do also like to check to see what's kind of generally close to my area and within my city specifically. But this estate sale did pop up about 8 hours away from where I live, or 7 hours and some change, which, I live in Texas, and so 7 hours of driving one way, you're still going to be in Texas. So for those of you who haven't been down south here, that's kind of how it goes. But back on topic, this estate sale popped up, and it looked like a normal run-of-the-mill estate sale, an older home, a lot of old dated furniture, etc. But they did have a stack of comics, and they only had 2 pictures here, but from what I could see the couple tops of the, I believe it was either shock suspense stories or crime suspense stories, but one of those really recognizable covers. And so
I emailed the person because after I did go through their description, they said that everything photoed was available for pre-sale, which is pretty unusual for an estate sale company. So I ended up emailing them, and they, I sent them my phone number, and they texted me or called me, within a couple of hours, and I told them that I, buy comic books and collections, and she was going to send me pictures. And upon receiving pictures, she said it was about 100 books. I knew right away that I wanted to pick up this collection. So her and I actually had a couple of phone calls. She runs it with also her daughter and her mother, and very nice ladies. I actually had a different interaction with all of them. But we ended up talking, and I did want to know about, pricing, because, with this kind of books, it really could have gone anyway. And so she said she had already worked on pricing. She sent me photos of just general books at kind of a base price, and then about another 10 or 20 books or so that she had pre-priced. And I saw all the books. I know that even for like the westerns and other books that I had no interest in, which only made a small percentage up of this collection, I knew that right away I still wanted to buy them. And I told her that I would just take them all. So I knew I wanted to pick up this entire collection. So she gave me a full price of about $1,800 plus tax, came out to about $2,000. And I agreed, and I was able to pay through her website that day. And trust me, I did go and vet and make sure that she was a real company, and they had a long history of hundreds of estate sales over the last 10-12 years, from what I could find. So I felt very confident that I could pay securely too, with my credit card. So I wanted to make sure that I was also protected as a buyer. And so she told me that she would hold these for me for pickup, or she would ship them. And trust me, after seeing a couple of the books that she did bag, I knew I did not want her to ship these books. They're fragile. These books are 70 plus years old, and driving out there for me was well worth it to mitigate any risk that could have been involved with a shipping error. One bad drop, and this could have really damaged a lot of these books. As we can see, all the books are in fairly low grade condition. So, so this was on a Wednesday that this whole transaction had happened. And so I knew that I wanted to be out there this weekend. The estate sale was still a couple of weeks away, but I ended up renting a car, paid about $120 for that, or actually $100 for that. And I drove out there Saturday morning. I hit the road at 3:30 a.m., drove all the way across Texas, made it into the San Antonio area, and met her up at a Walmart. She had brought everything. She was actually with her mother too, so I got to have a nice chat with them. Very nice ladies. And I wanted to make sure, one, that everything was accounted for in the collection. I didn't really have time to check for completeness at this time, although I did double check the Chamber of Chills 23, and that one was complete, and that immediately solidified the sale, because this was almost like a blind buy. For the $2,000 plus my travel expense, which maybe came out to about another $200. This was a pretty, fairly risky move, in the sense that, these books could have been very incomplete. They could have had, all detached covers. They could have been, there could have been a multitude of issues that could have happened through this. But, I took the risk, and, the risk definitely paid off. It's not like, I got just a bunch of covers or anything like that. I'd actually gone through at this point now and checked every book, and out of the 90 something horror books, only one was missing a centerfold, which was fantastic news. No cutouts. There were some that were detached. There were some that had some major issues, like a big cover tear. I believe that was on one of the on the crime suspense or shock suspense books. But overall, really, really relieved when I got to bring these home and really kind of go through them thoroughly over a few days. And so I was, just very pleased with that. These ladies were very nice. We had exchanged other formal contact information, and, she told me that she would keep me in mind, that they, run into comics just every once in a while, but she's never had a comic person. So, getting out there and even expanding how far I'm willing to travel to pick up some books can really pay off. And you know, where I'm at, collections can be pretty sparse. So me being willing to travel a little bit, this is, I think, the second longest I've traveled. I've actually gone to Vegas to pick up a collection, and yeah, this was just a great win. I had never picked up a horror collection, especially something that was pretty much all horror books. You know, just a single short box, but I was able to get up there and get back in the same day. Total travel time was about 17 hours or 18 hours, and I made it home before 10 p.m. So, you know, I have two kids at home, and I work during the week a lot. And so, you know, I get my evenings with my kids and my mornings during the weekday, but, you know, my weekends are super special. You know, this hobby is excellent, but I can't stress how important family is. And, you know, I really try to make sure that I have ample time to hang out with my kids the most I can over the weekend. But, you know, special circumstances will come up, and this was one of the circumstances. But at the very least, I only lost a day as opposed to an entire weekend. And shout out to my wife for being super patient and actually super supportive of my hobby for, you know, several years, pretty much since she started dating me. You know, I've just been collecting for years and years. But a lot of fantastic books, a really great ensemble of iconic covers. This thing number 7 with the eye gouging is a pretty iconic horror cover. The Chamber of Chills 13, just fantastic book. You know, a lot of great artists included here, and you know, pretty much everything consolidated from 1952 to 1954. They did tell me a little bit about the estate, and so I guess these people possibly owned a drugstore or something similar, you know, pretty much back in the day. And so this was just part of one of the family members' collections. In this collection, I don't show it in the video, but I did actually get about 20 coverless books. And so she had kind of prefaced that. During our negotiations, telling me, you know, that, yeah, and of course, you know, there's some of them that aren't just missing the cover, but you know, I just wanted to just take everything, you know what I mean? I didn't want to leave her with, you know, a lot of the junk. I just told her I would buy it all, and you know, she set the price, and we closed the deal. But the you know, coverless books were also all horror, and so she told me that part of the reason they were coverless is because, you know, the ones that didn't sell, instead of returning, they would, I guess at that point, rip off the cover. I had not seen that. I had mostly seen just the kind of trade dress that gets cut off, but then again, that's always in the Silver Age. So oh yeah, another Panic number 1, pretty nice book, low grade, but a pretty cool edition. And so, you know, before I really start to ramble on a tangent, I just want to kind of wrap this up by saying, you know, sometimes you just got to risk it. You know, this this came with its fair share of risks, and you know, you can mitigate them to a certain extent, but at some point, you know, you just got to kind of take that little leap, and this one really paid off. I do plan on keeping about half of these books. The other half, you know, I'll sell off a little bit here and there so I can recoup a bit of my cost. And that's kind of the framework I've followed for years, you know, buy a couple collections if I'm lucky throughout a year. And, you know, sometimes maybe just one. I've had years where I don't buy anything. But you know, every once in a while, you really land a gem, and this was one of them. You know, something I can't imagine the next time I'll pick up a horror collection, but you know, this is also a fun learning experience going through, because you know, I'm always familiar with some of the bigger horror keys from the 50s, but you know, I really get to familiarize myself with you know, a lot of the books that just kind of get overshadowed by a lot of the big keys or the mega grails. You know, and it's a lot of the same great artists. You know, there was some L.B. Cole here, a few books, Lee Elias, Johnny Craig, just off the top of my head. But, you know, like I said, just a fun experience overall. And I'm glad to get to share this with you guys here on my channel.
But I want to thank you guys for jumping in for today's first kind of collection of 2024 reveal. A short box of books, but a mighty strong short box of books at that. Please drop a comment. Let me know what you guys are picking up, what you're adding to your collection, and I hope to see you back for the next video.